Hey everybody, just before we begin, the updated post-Wormspat and Hrothgorn deck list will be in the description below, as well as a link to where you can download the audio-only version of this very same interview. Without further ado, let's get into it. Hello everyone and welcome back to the BattleCast. I am joined by Arthur Nicholson, a guy who actually lives in Vancouver and I've had the pleasure of playing with a couple times. And the reason he's here is because he did very well at LVO with Rippas, which is a warband that I don't think everyone fully understands how to play. So thanks for being here there, Arthur.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you came fourth twice at LVO?
Okay, so the Friday, I believe I actually came third because there was someone who was a really good sport there and realized after maybe the sixth or seventh game that he had 7 surge cards, so he disqualified himself. I would have been fourth, but because he disqualified himself, I actually came third. And on the Saturday, I did come fourth. Yeah.
That's a pretty, what a nice guy. I mean,
if
no one caught on, yeah.
Yeah, he's really commendable for sure.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about yourself and your previous tabletop gaming experience, prior to Warhammer Underworlds.
Yeah, I've been doing this stuff for probably 20 years, I would say, since I was 10, maybe 20, maybe 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
I started out playing Warhammer Fantasy and 40K with a cousin of mine who now does not play, but here I am, still stuck in the trap, if you will. I got a job at Games Workshop after high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done pretty much all the Games Workshop games. I was huge into War Machine and Hordes right after Games Workshop.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I've played Malifaux, Guild Ball, like Blood Bowl, and Warhammer Underworlds is currently what I'm really enjoying. So just basically everything tabletop.
Yeah, I mean, that's one hell of a repertoire. That's a lot of systems. And what do you like about, what's it about Warhammer Underworlds that's really doing it for you?
I like the small scale of it is nice because I can get everything done painting wise. I like to play painted stuff. So I like the number of models that you use. I like the ability to manipulate luck, if you will, with cards.
Mm-hmm.
I like the boards and how you can change them. There's never 2 games that are the same.
Yeah, that's true.
In most cases.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the models are great as well, not to mention just the number of them, but the sculpts, they look awesome.
Yeah, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you win Best Painted?
Yeah, on the Sunday I did. That was with Skaith's Wild Hunt.
Sweet.
Yeah, I made a diorama for them. I put a lot of effort into it, so I was really happy when I got that nice big trophy.
You'll definitely have to send me a photo of both your Skaiths and Rippas, and I'll flash them up on the screen here so people can admire your work.
Yeah, actually, my Rippas got Best Painted on the Saturday too.
Oh, damn.
The Friday I played Skaith and I forgot to enter it. I had a really quick game. Actually lost against Steelheart, which is funny.
Steelheart. Wow.
Yeah,
OG.
It was terrible. I had a really quick game and then I went to get lunch before everyone else and I forgot to put my models out. So I came back and realized, oh crap. But yeah, I just like the amount of people that are into Warhammer Underworlds as well around here. Yeah. There's quite a big community that we can play with locally, which is
crucial.
Nice.
Absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
So my next question is basically what tournament have you played at recently with Rippas and how'd you do? And obviously that's LVO. I mean, you came third. So tell me a bit about that experience and what it was like playing there and playing with Rippas.
Yeah, it was good. LVO was my first Grand Clash experience, but it actually consisted of 2 Grand Skirmishes and 1 Grand Clash. I think there was some kind of scheduling error with 40K or something. I can't remember what other game had difficulty with the schedule, but basically, as far as I understand, some people wanted to get out of 40K if they didn't do well on the Saturday and then play in the Grand Clash on the Sunday.
That's how they do it there, yeah.
Yeah, I think previously it was different. I think there was a 2-day Grand Clash, which I think is preferable. And
Yeah,
then
preferable.
everybody else that doesn't get in the Grand Clash can go in the Grand Skirmish. I think that's what they did. I'm not sure in previous years. But anyway, it was fun to do 3 events in one weekend, if not a little exhausting.
No shit. I mean, all Warhammer Underworlds all the time.
Yeah, I counted, I think I played 19 games over the weekend.
No joke.
So, yeah, those Grand Skirmish, they're pretty funny because you do like best of 1 for 8 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Which was, I haven't gone that long before, but it definitely gives you a sense of the endurance you need to go to a Grand Clash.
No shit. I mean, you got to wear your compression socks and you put a catheter in and just rock and roll.
Yeah. Luckily, the room we were in was really great. It was the Skyview room.
Yeah, beauty.
Top of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where was it last year? Was it
same Skyview? Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a bathroom right there too, so you don't need a catheter.
So what did you? What was it like? Going from a local scene to a Grand Clash with Rippas, and I mean, quite frankly, I didn't think they would do, top 4. That's a top 3. So what was it like? What was the experience like taking them there?
You know what? A lot of good people were playing Rippas. Do you know Rob Howard from England? Yeah, he was playing Rippas too, and he made it to top 4 on the Grand Clash Sunday. Yeah, so clearly people are starting to figure them out.
No kidding.
I would even go as far as saying as they're the best aggro warband right now. I would say.
Wow, it's and see, and the thing that I think about them is that, like, they're definitely not straightforward. Like, they're not Molag, they're not Magors. They require some finesse, and so hopefully you'll be able to instill that with us.
Yeah. I'll explain my thoughts about it.
The next question is, why did you choose Rippas? I mean, of all of them, of your Grimwatch and your Thorns and your Harrows and Cursebreakers, why did you choose the Rippas?
A couple reasons. One, they're sweet models. They're my favorite out of all of the warbands so far.
Mm-hmm.
They're just amazing. And I was a big Warhammer Fantasy player, so the models really reminded me of Orcs and Goblins, Wolf Riders. Orcs and Goblins were my first army for Warhammer Fantasy, so there's a little bit of nostalgia there. But I chose them for another reason, like more tactical, being that they can get into Grimwatch's deployment zone really fast. And it's actually tough for Grimwatch and Thorns to deal with 4 wound guys, 3 of them right away, especially if they're in their face. Obviously, the strategy is a little bit different against other aggro warbands, but those 2 are the big bad boys out there for me right now. So I found that Rippa's dealt with them better than Scathe overall.
Yeah, and it's kind of, there's a big difference between, a move 3 and 4 fighter getting into their territory and a move 4 and 5 fighter, because they're going to have to push you a couple spaces to get you out.
Exactly.
Yeah, so no, that's a great point.
The idea against Grimwatch anyway is to get all 3 of them in there no matter what.
Yeah. Absolutely. Cool. So we're going to go into this deck here, starting with the objectives, kind of going through, and if a card is kind of a no-brainer, we don't need to spend too much time on it unless there's really good strategy. So we're actually using a deck, not the original LVO deck, but a modified deck, and we're going to go over what modifications you'll make with the newest expansions coming after. But you've got a 16 glory scoring objective deck, 6 score immediatelys, 6 third end phase cards, and it's a pretty low glory count deck, really.
Yep. Yeah, you're relying a lot on Tomb of Offerings and Trophy Hunter, or Trophy Belt, I should say.
Absolutely. All right, well, take us through these objectives.
So for my objectives, I started with Calculated Risk, which it's been a bit of a point of contention between some people wondering why I would take Calculated Risk with a 3-model 4-wound warband.
Myself included.
Yeah, the reason is it's almost always going to be the archer that takes the damage. And he doesn't have to be right up in someone's grill either. He would usually be the fighter that stays back the most to help score another objective I have, Conquered Land. Ideally, in deployment, you'd want him next to both an objective and a lethal hex so that he could ideally get both in the same round if he has to, if there's kind of like a stalemate.
Right, run him through a lethal onto an objective to shoot at somebody is the dream.
Right, and having Calculated Risk enables me to just start the ball rolling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just get that one upgrade that I need to go and maybe get a better chance at getting a kill, like a +1 strength or a potion of rage or something like that. So I just felt it was something easy that I didn't have to roll any dice to get. Is why I put it in. And you got to be careful with him afterwards, like with Benai. Make sure that he's not going to be taken out easy. But that being said, 3 wounds these days is not always easy for everybody either.
Yeah, I mean, Beastgrave has generally seen, a little bit of a decrease in average damage done, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So second one's Combo Strike for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I think I usually get it. I don't believe I used it at LVO. I think I had. I can't remember what I had. I think I just had Fired Up or something. I didn't like it as much.
Yeah, I think you did just have Fired Up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Opening Gambit, same reason. Just like that calculated risk in the beginning could get me that, even though I made no attacks. So Solid Gains, same thing. Maybe that could be a calculated risk and a kill or two, or a calculated risk and another score immediately card. Right. Strong Start. I really like Strong Start for aggro warbands just because it doesn't require an attack action to
score.
Right. You can score it with a lethal hex, with a ploy that does damage, these kind of things, right? And it doesn't matter who does the killing either. Like there's cards for Rippas that are popular, like leading the charge. Your leader has to be successful in attack action.
Yeah.
That's one model that can score that.
Yeah.
On one attack.
Yeah.
Whereas Strong Start could be scored by multiple ploys, by multiple models, by either their regular attack or their wolf attack.
Yeah, and with such a high movement warband too, like, you can get to the model that you can kill easily. Even though Rippas doesn't do a ton of damage, you can usually get to somebody.
Yep, and not to mention that it's actually harder for your opponent to take your 4 wound models out too to counter Strong Start, right? For them to be the first one to kill is not likely a lot of the time.
Just taking a brief pause. What was the demographic like at LVO for your matchups? Like, were you playing, like, how many aggro warbands did you play with Rippas versus objective-based warbands or flex or whatever?
I did a Rippas mirror match. I played, I think, Mollog, but that was with Scathe. I think I mostly played Thorns throughout the entire weekend.
Yeah, no shit. So Strong Start's feeling pretty good, actually.
Yeah, Strong Start was awesome for Thorns for sure. Grim Watch also were popular. I didn't play any Curse Breakers, though there were quite a few there. And I played Elthari's a couple times. There was a good spread of everything. Mollog, I played an Eyes of the Nine player, Steelheart.
Heroes.
yeah, Heroes, yeah. But the majority of fighters of teams I fought were definitely Thorns, which Rippas do great against.
Yeah, no, I would think so, definitely.
Yeah. So Burning Spite. Here's another one that a lot of people don't like, I think. But the way that I play him, Rippa's always up in front. You have to attack him. If you're not attacking Rippa, he's going to decimate you, right? So basically, you just have to be careful to always have Rippa up front and make sure he's a target of an attack. And likely, you're going to have 2 fighters that are inspired by turn 2 at least.
So, I mean, we can get into this a little bit later, but I see Rippa's played a lot where, like, round 1 or like action 1, action 2, Rippa's just charges in. Is that kind of the same for you? Like, get him in there for
not.
No.
Definitely not. First couple turns, if I don't have what I need in my hand, I'll be drawing cards. And there's not too many situations that are time sensitive like that I can think of. Unless the only thing I can think of is if someone's got a juicy target like a Valreek or a Gristlewell that's next to a lethal hex, and I might want to go for it right away just because I could kill them in one shot before they move. But most of the time, I'm probably not even going to do that because it's just too risky. Why have Rippa charge in and then let your opponent have 3 to 4 activations of beating on him?
Yeah.
Right. There's no sense in that.
I agree. Yeah, moving on.
I think in that situation, I'd rather just, if I'm going to charge something, I'd rather just charge the archer from 3 hexes away and just use his bow to push someone into a lethal hex or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because then they still have to come closer to me to attack than they probably want to. Then they might not have range with the rest of their fighters to get to me. So.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, so Conquered Land. I played this one mostly, usually it's a dead card, especially against Grimwatch and Thorns, but I play it mostly against to counter other aggro warbands that are going to be doing the same thing as me, which is holding back and drawing cards. At least if I hold back and don't commit, I can score Conquered Land by holding ideally 1 to 2 objectives that I place in my area. When I'm placing the boards, I always loved it when my opponent would put 3 or even 4 of the objectives in their territory, so that I can only hold 1 in my territory if I have to, which would be the best situation.
Right, absolutely. How many times were you scoring this by holding objectives in their territory?
None. 0.
None. Yeah. So
it's usually way too hard.
Yeah. No, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually take this out in my new deck that I built with the new cards from Hrothgorn and the Wormspat.
Absolutely cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I took it out for the adaptive strategy. Is it called? No, the aggressive strategy.
Yeah, aggressive.
Where you score 5 surge cards.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
I also think that might be hard to do, but I think it'll be easier than Conquered Land in most matchups.
Yeah, probably.
So Cruel Hunters is absolutely awesome with Rippas. You just have to kill 2 fighters and then have one of your fighters in enemy territory.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's everything you want to do anyway. So not much to explain there. Usually I'll have more than 1 fighter in their area anyway. Yeah. Loaded with Plunder is also just an auto take with them because it's singled out for 2 glory instead.
I know, right? Yeah, so good.
And you want to put upgrades on Rippa. You want to stack this guy anyway. So it's basically doing what you want to do. No Mercy. I took this over Leading the Charge because anyone can score it, not just my leader.
And there's a lot of ways to get wound tokens on people with ploys prior to
especially when you see the rest of the deck.
Yes, yeah, I kind of got a glimpse of it. Ooh.
Yeah. So yeah, I just found this way easier to score than Leading the Charge, which a lot of people like to take. Gather Momentum and Cover Ground are both great for Rippas as well. Gather Momentum more so because I don't even need a card to do it.
Yeah, no shit. It was born for them.
Yeah, it's amazing, especially when you've charged Rippa in. They inspire the rest of your guys for you because they attacked Rippa. Oh, it's so great when they fail to hit him, that they still attack him, and I still inspire. So the Archer also has a range 3 weapon. The Stab It has a range 2 weapon. So you could sometimes charge past people and still be able to hit them for this. It's just very flexible. Yeah,
you're not quite as shittily, but yeah, sometimes you really have to make these terrible charges to get the gather momentum. Or cover ground. Yeah,
sometimes, especially if you don't have range on the fighter. Yeah, and you kind of want to do it fast to cycle your cards, but you don't want to commit. Cover ground I included as well because in my ploys I already knew I was going to take both tracking and spectral wings to really threaten people, and with 2 instances of being able to score it, 2 ploys that can facilitate me scoring it, I felt it was a good choice. Also doesn't require dice. Of course, good.
No, stands to reason. Yeah.
Another card that I always see in Rippa's decks that I don't necessarily agree with is the one. Is it Hunter's Prey? What's the one where you kill a friendly hunter kills an enemy in enemy territory?
Oh yeah.
It has to be with an attack action.
Yeah.
So again, if you plan on using Pit Trap or Snare or a ploy, it's just not going to work. So that's why I didn't like that one either. Yeah,
I know the card you're talking about. I run that card. Not that I've played Rippas a ton, and I found exactly what you're saying to be true. It's just kind of every time you're fuck, Snare is useless or Pit Trap's useless because
Yes. If you look at all these cards here, none of them require any specific fighter to do anything, and none of them require anything to kill with an attack action.
Yeah, no, wise. A good point. That's a good way to run in
No
tournaments.
mercy does require a successful attack action. That's actually this is one of the ones I took out for the new card, sudden unexpected pitfall,
Yes,
where you
yeah.
kill someone with snare, pit trap, or elite or a ploy that does damage or lethal. Yeah, and I find that happens more often than no mercy.
Right. Yeah, makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, like nothing's gonna feel worse than whiffing that attack. So
yeah. You want to move on to ploys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or gambits, I should say.
Absolutely.
All right, so for ploys, I started with Encroaching Shadow. Excellent to get 1 damage on someone, so you can score no mercy.
Yeah.
And just there's a big prevalence right now of fighters with 3 wounds. So like all those Grimwatch characters, you do 1 damage from Encroaching Shadow, and then Rippa can go in and smash.
No kidding.
Lethal Ward, same thing. It helps with no mercy. It also can be used like both Encroaching Shadow and Lethal Ward can be used like a pit trap if you push someone back into a edge hex or a objective token. Yeah, pit trap is my second restricted card here. Just useful all around, especially when your fighters are only doing 2 damage usually without upgrades. Yeah. Furious Reprisal. Here's one that I changed from my LVO deck to. I didn't have it previously. Can't remember exactly what I had instead, but I in playing mirror matches there, I actually like it more than I dislike it now. I didn't like the fact that someone could just push you away and then you don't get your nice Rippa attack.
Yeah.
But you can play it even if they miss, which is nice. So it's good to have just for that. Also, you can play it with the archer and stab it, who have ranged weapons anyway.
Yeah.
Which, could be nice. You could do an extra damage, or you could maybe even push the enemy fighter into a lethal, or into an objective, or into an edge hex and use Lethal Ward and Encroaching Shadow.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, that's perfect examples. And rolling 2 dodge dice, like you're definitely going to get a crit eventually, and bam.
Yep. Narrow Escape. Okay, here's another one that's just so good.
I know I underrated this card so badly, but like.
Sorry, what's that?
I underrated this card. I thought I was like, oh, it's not that good, but like, man, you can fuck some people's planning with it.
Yeah. If you have this in your hand and you're going in there with Rippa and Duke Crackmarrow's coming in, he's inspired maybe, he's got cleave, he's got 3 damage. You've taken a damage already from something. He's like, oh, I got you, and then you just play Narrow Escape. And you're like, no, you don't.
Yeah,
and then suddenly it's bad news.
Well, and like, I kind of put this akin to like, I don't know the fuck. There's like a potion that reduces your damage. There's a couple upgrades that reduce your damage by 1, but the point is,
this
like,
one you don't see.
Yeah, like people can plan around it, but this one, like, it can just hose you. You're like, I'm going to put great strength on. You're like, well, you fucking wasted that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very annoying for people. And it's annoying to play against, too. I was on the receiving end of a Narrow Escape before at LVO, and it was like, oh, my planning,
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Actually, you know what? Luckily, I think I actually managed to get around it because I played Pit Trap after. They actually don't conflict with each other. Narrow Escape is when you take damage, when you dealt damage.
Early in the activation.
Yes, early in the chain of reactions. So that's one thing to keep in mind is Narrow Escape is not going to save you from Pit Trap or Snare.
It forces a pit trap, though, so, like, I mean, still generally a little
if
worth
they
it.
think they didn't have to, now they have to. Yeah. Vindictive Attack. Amazing. Just probably their best ploy.
Straight up.
Yeah. There's +2 dice with no drawbacks.
Yeah, like, it's good.
Normally I would take Haymaker, but why bother with this?
Yeah, why?
Yep. Snare, also good. All your fighters are hunters, so they can all use this. On either of their attacks, which is nice.
Yeah.
Tracking and Spectral Wings, we can talk about both of those. They help score cover ground, and they also help just if someone longboards you, or if they deploy, the board that people like to use with the 3 lethal hexes right in the beginning.
Yeah, the dream.
They like to kind of position the boards offset from each other.
Oh yeah, it's nasty.
Yeah, like Grimwatch and Thorns like to do it. Well, Spectral Wings and tracking make it so you can still get to those fighters even though you're way far away from them.
Yeah, those bastards.
I will note that when you play Rippas, I tend to like to do the board orientation, not the objectives.
Yeah, so now that you can choose, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, even against Grimwatch, even against Thorns, I would give them the 3. I don't even care.
Yeah, well, you kind of alluded to earlier that the less objectives you had, I mean, you got rid of the card, but the less objectives you had on your side, the better. But...
yeah, exactly. Distraction, again, this can be seen as another damage to someone, essentially.
Could
by
be,
pushing them into the right spot. Or it could be speed for you because you can push them closer to you. It's just awesome. And one of the cards that I'll be adding from the new sets is the second version of Distraction.
Yeah, and you have that card, Unexpected Pitfall or whatever.
Yes, exactly.
Which, of course, yeah, you can push into.
Also helps. My dream is I'll have Collapse in my hand, which is going to be replacing Encroaching Shadow. And I'll have Distraction, and there'll be like a ghoul on an edge hex, and I'll collapse him and then push him into a lethal hex, and then that'll score me Unexpected Pitfall, and maybe even Strong Start. You never know.
Yeah, like my dream is to just have 3 people for some reason on an edge hexes and in a line.
It's going to be very rare when that happens. It's going to be rare when there's 2 on an edge hex, honestly.
Yeah, maniacal. Yeah,
not often do you see that, but it could happen.
Well, I'm loving this deck so far. This seems like an absolute blast to play.
It is really fun.
And I actually just got my Rippas painted, so this is happening.
Yeah, you showed me. They look really good.
Yeah. Moving on to upgrades.
Yep. Potion of Rage. It's awesome. +2 dice. It can stack with the Snarlfang Jaw as well because the reaction timing is not the same. So, sorry, what I mean by that is you can do your regular attack, use the Potion of Rage, and then do a Snarlfang's Jaw. So you cannot use the Potion of Rage with the Snarlfang Jaw because that would be modifying the roll.
Say it again.
So, sorry, you can say Rippa goes and charges. He can use the Potion of Rage with his Boss Lava.
Yes.
And then he can still do a Snarlfang Jaw attack.
That's right. Yes, I was going to say. I was like, no,
okay, but you cannot use the Potion of Rage on the Snarlfang's Jaws.
Yeah, can't be
because
modified.
that would be modifying the profile. Which Tomb of Offerings, yeah, it's huge. You do this. My favorite thing is to put Tomb of Offerings onto Stab It after I put a Strength upgrade on him, and then just go and whirl into multiple ghouls or multiple chain rasps.
Yeah, just go to town.
It feels good. Yeah.
Where dreams are made.
Yeah, exactly. I've had that recently. I think my buddy, I was playing him. He was using Grimwatch. I think I killed 3 ghouls in one go.
Wow.
With Stab It and a Tomb of Offering.
Yeah, it's a dream that doesn't come up a ton, but when it does, it's like a memorable moment. I mean, I've said this before, but like one time when I was at LVO and I was playing Molag, I went in and whirled on 3 goblins, and I scored 9 glory off of them with the Tome of Glories or Tome of Offerings.
That happened to me at LVO as well. Actually, it was with Rippa during over 2 activations, but I got 9 glory off of Chain Rasps.
Yeah, you're like, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, I had Trophy Belt Tomb of Offerings on.
Oh, disgusting.
Yeah, and he killed 3 Chain Rasps in over 2 activations.
Yeah, that's dastardly.
It was great. Prize Vendetta. A lot of people don't use this, and I don't know why.
Yeah, like I don't know. Do you like Potion of Rage? Like, well, here's kind of another one.
Yeah, and you get to re-roll attack dice against one fighter, but that could be everything, right?
Yeah,
that could be your strong start.
Yeah.
That could be killing Crack Marrow.
That could be your Trophy Belt Tome of Offering skill, yeah.
Exactly. So I always use this, even with like Scathe and stuff like that. I find it's really, really useful to take out that key fighter, especially when you're rolling dice with Stab It like Fury. Swords are always pretty tough to get sometimes.
And also like it applies to both attacks. So you like hit and then you do your Snarlfang and you get to reroll. So
yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, it's
Snarlfang
good value
as well, which is awesome. So I'm going to talk about Spectral Armor and Survival Instincts. together, because if you get both of these onto Rippa, he is unstoppable.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting.
Survival instincts needs to be restricted. It's too good.
Yeah, it really is just like the drawback. Unless there's a card that's like target a quarry and kill them, it's gonna be there's no reason not to run it.
To like auto kill them.
Yeah, just like
that maybe would stop people from running.
Yeah, exactly.
Spectral Armor is good on Rippa or any of them really when they're inspired only, because they roll block when they're not inspired, which makes Spectral Armor kind of useless. But the good thing is all you need is one more upgrade to inspire Rippa, and then he's suddenly got 3 dodge, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Rolling those crits. Combine that with survival instincts, and it's dumb.
It's insanity.
Just dumb. I've had multiple people rage over not being able to kill Rippa with both of these upgrades on.
Yeah, I mean, three dice with, only a 30% chance of failing on each dice it's pretty amazing.
He becomes a Space Marine.
I mean, you put Bonded on him, I guess, and you're just like, yeah.
Well, Bonded is for attack actions.
Oh, I thought it was for defense also.
No, Bonded is just when you're attacking. Otherwise, that would be stupid. But if you did have 2 fighters next to you, that would be 100% success.
That's good.
Which is really stupid. Survival instincts, another thing people forget is that you can't push them, because on guard now, you can't be pushed. So if you're trapped with Rippa, doesn't matter. Unless they roll a crit, your odds of surviving that are really good.
Yeah, it really cranks it up to 11.
Yeah, exactly. Great strength and Sting of the Grub. They are just +1 damage. The only thing to note, you got to be careful with Sting of the Grub, because it does say range 1 attack actions only. Yeah. So when Stab It is going in with his range 2 spear, it won't be +1 strength, but his whirling attack is range 1, so it still works on that.
And at that point, it's like
the attack you're going to be using anyway.
Yeah, because they're the same, right? Like essentially unmodified. One just has knockback and one has sighting. Is that how it works?
The 2 range 1 has knockback, and the 1 range 1 has sighting.
Yeah. So
yeah. Oh, I forgot to talk about Bonded. Bonded is amazing. It's the best card for Rippas for sure, for the upgrade. Anyway.
It's just unrestricted Helpful Whispers, I guess.
Yeah. It's amazing, and the nice thing is you get 2 attacks.
Yeah.
With Rippas Snarlfangs.
It's always just doubled up. The value is just doubled.
It's a +1 to hit card essentially, which is great. The only time it won't work, I guess, is when you're fighting 2 fighters. That would just negate their support. Because you essentially count as 2 fighters. Larval Lance. I put this in here because I found that usually I would put strength upgrades, focus them on one guy. If he goes down, they can kind of be pillow fisted later in the round, like round 3. It can kind of suck. So I found having Larval Lance to throw on like Mean Eye gives him a melee attack. Second of all, doing 3 damage unexpectedly is pretty nice. You can also use your Rippas Snarlfang after your Snarlfang attack after anyway, so might as well.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a good. If things aren't going your way, this is the kind of card that might be able to salvage things.
Another thing about just the playstyle in general, I won't hesitate to put this on Rippa if I need to inspire him.
Right.
It's Inspiring mostly important Rippa. To inspire him as soon as possible.
Right.
So let's say I just had 2 upgrades in my hand. One of them is Larval Lance. I'd still put it on him. I don't care. I just want him inspired to roll more attack dice and roll more defense dice.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Be faster.
That's good to know.
Yeah. And the last one I have here is Trophy Belt, which it's basically Tomb of Offerings for the poor man.
I mean, not for you. I mean, if you're... Oh, no, they have to be quarry, right, to get the unspent.
Yeah.
Still worth it.
So you know what I always forget? I'm almost 100% sure that I've killed someone while wearing a trophy belt, and that opponent had survival instincts. They're a quarry now, so if you kill the person with survival instincts, you should actually get an unspent quarry. But I don't think I've ever remembered.
You're just so shocked. You're like, I got them. They had survival instinct on. What the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Hey, well, that's a good looking deck and a nice quick run through. I mean, it seems like a lot of fun to play, but obviously there's going to be some subtleties because, yeah, as you know, I've kind of already deduced a little bit of them. So we're going to go through the strategy next. So firstly, let's talk about fighter placement. What is like the general goal here? Who's going up? Who's staying a little back? Yeah, what's your idea? What's your thoughts when you place fighters?
Up front is always Rippa.
Yeah.
And behind him is not too far behind him, but in range of attacking, ideally, is Stab It and Minai. You don't want them to get too conservative, but you do want it so that the majority of your opponents only have the choice of attacking Rippa.
Right. So preferably they aren't in range to attack anyone, and you're in a range of attacking people. But if they had to be a range of attack someone, it's going to be Rippa.
Yeah, I would even go as far as say, I really don't care if Rippa's attack range because then my other guys expire.
Right. So
most people can't kill Rippa in one go anyway.
Yeah, you want Rippa to be attacked, but you want them to come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, makes sense.
Yep. One thing I noticed is a lot of Rippa's players right from the beginning. Like we had a tournament here at a local game store, and like probably half the people were playing Rippas. There was probably 4 or 5 Rippa's players, and they all put Rippa in the back, and they put the little guys up front. I don't think this is the way you play them.
No, that does seem a bit odd.
Yeah, they were way too conservative with Rippa. Even if Rippa dies, your other 2 guys are still great fighters.
Yeah,
especially
I mean,
with upgrades.
Yeah, with upgrades, definitely can be.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned, about like not going in right away. What is like? You've deployed your fighters. We'll talk about boards later, but you've deployed your fighters, and you're just like, are you for sure drawing a power card round 1, or like because you want your guys to get in their zone if it's only Grimwatch, or do you always want to get in their zone?
It definitely depends on who it is. Grimwatch for sure. All 3 of them. The Grimwatch matchup, the deployment might vary a bit from what I just said. You might have to put Minai and Stab It closer than I'd want them to. But usually the Grimwatch first activation is a move onto an objective. Usually.
Yeah.
Not often is it a charge, unless it's something totally juicy like Rippa into a lethal hex with charge with Bristlewell kind of thing. And that's even like a prayer at that point too. Kind of throwing Bristlewell away. But yeah, definitely in the Grimwatch matchup, you want to make sure that all 3 of your fighters can get there by the end of the first turn, because they have lots of push cards. You want to get them. Basically, you don't want to let them expire.
And versus non-Grimwatch warbands, are you kind of focusing primarily on drawing power cards? So that
I might hang back a bit more against non-Grimwatch. Against Thorns, maybe I would hang back a little bit more. They usually send their Briar Queen out first, or even Varklav. But generally, the first activation of Thorns is Varklav moving on. Ghosts onto objectives, right? So even then, you got a little bit of breath to draw a card. Against Grimwatch, definitely one of the activations will be drawing a card. Unless they charge me and whiff, and they're standing right beside me, I might attack.
Yeah, because it's often with this type of warband, this type of playstyle, it's all about when you do attack, in the 3rd or 4th activation or whatever, you want to score like 3 objectives.
Yeah, that's definitely possible.
You want to set it up to get the most. Talking about objective. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, if I have tracking or spectral wings in my hand, and I also have cover ground or gather momentum, I might do that first. Charge the archer.
Right.
Attack from range. I don't really care if it hits or not. I still score those objectives.
Yeah. See what you draw. Yeah.
Yeah. it's a little tougher against Grimwatch because I also want to be in their zone after, and you never want to charge first activation into Grimwatch's zone really, unless, and like I said before, unless there's just something so juicy you can't pass up. But the odds of that happening are not very good. Usually they deploy the bats next to the lethals anyway.
Yeah.
So you can't really damage them.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, definitely. And talking about objective placement, what do you like to do for, where do you place your objectives?
If it's against Grimwatch or Thorns, I will place them as far away from their zone as possible. If it's against anyone else, I'll try to give the opponent as many as possible so I can score that conquered land.
So we kind of talked about the general activation strategy about, just kind of, if it's Grimwatch, you just go ham. But for other warbands, you're kind of, like, do you want to attack with every fighter every round kind of thing? Or like, what's the, what's the general strategy, if you could be so bold as to try and sum it up?
Yeah, usually I'll attack with everybody every round. Ideally, or in the best situation, someone would be beside me or just like a distraction away so I could attack twice with someone, preferably Rippa, because he's the most accurate, the most damaging. But mostly it'll be attacks and drawing cards.
Right. Okay.
I might make a move to score calculated risk.
Yeah, but it's pretty charge focused, charge attack focused. Yeah.
Charges. Yeah. Try to. Another thing I should say. When I'm going against Grimwatch, I try and focus all my fighters in the same area. You know what I mean? If I'm going to move across into their zone, I'll try and put everybody together.
To prevent the surround and kill, I guess.
And yes, and just give them as little option as possible to get fighters onto you. Especially if they deploy Gristlewell on one side and Crackmarrow on the other. That's perfect. You choose one. Probably the side that Gristlewell's on, because he's doesn't have a range 2 weapon. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. That's a good. You don't want to just because you can overextend yourself doesn't mean you should.
No. At most, I want to have one fighter that's like 2 hexes in, and then 2 fighters that are 1 hex in.
Yeah.
That stops. It's very unlikely that they have both distraction and appalling visage. So.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's talk about boards. So. What it's easy. Okay, this is easiest, I guess. So, what board are you picking if you are choosing orientation, which you said you prefer? So, if you have your choice, what are you picking?
I like to pick one boards with at least 1 lethal. I'll usually deploy that lethal away from me in a corner. There's one board for Beastgrave. I can't remember the name of it. Living Rock. That's the one I like. Okay. Living Rock.
And you're gonna. So let's say you're playing against, your standard like Grimwatch, Thorns, whatever. How are you lining this up, and which side are you facing which?
Against Grimwatch and Thorns, I usually just go straight on. And the nice thing about Living Rock here is you can see that one side has 2 starting hexes right up front. The other one has 1 with 2 not far behind.
Yeah.
So usually I'll set up with the starting hack. The starting hacks next to the lethal will be the starting hex will be south of the lethal.
Right. So you're gonna put their board on top.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Generally, Rippa's gonna be in the top left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And other than that, I just like to pick any board. If I have to switch my boards throughout the rounds, I like to pick any board that has a lethal and also has at least 2 starting hexes on one of the edges. So that I can deploy next to them. Against an aggro warband using Living Rock, I might deploy farther back because I know I have speed. I have 2 cards that have +2 speed, and most other people are going to have trouble getting speed. So.
Definitely. What now you lose the board placement. What board are you going to pick?
Probably the same boards, honestly. Wormgrave, maybe. Living Rock.
Okay.
Penitent's Throne. These are all good choices because they have lethals, which I can score calculated risk off of, and I don't have to rely on my opponent putting a lethal in my deployment area because sometimes they don't. And I'm always putting my lethal next to some of their starting hexes, right? Preferably in a cluster of 3 of them, right in the middle if I can.
The dream, yes, the dream. Yeah. Okay. So you kind of just take each matchup as it comes. There's no like, if I'm versus aggro warband and I lose the roll off, I pick this board.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. You only have 3 fighters, so usually there's enough starting hexes to make something work on any board that where you're not in a risky situation. Of course, it would be a lot different if I was playing a 7-fighter warband.
Yes, yeah.
Considerate over these things.
That's true. Yeah, good point. We're going to talk about matchups. Who do you love facing as Rippas?
I would say Thorns, but I don't love facing them because everybody plays them currently. They're a good matchup for Thorns, though.
Yeah, so I guess, that's true. I mean, you can be sick and tired of it, but if you were like, I'm just going to roll these people over, it's the Thorns.
Yeah, Grimwatch, I think Rippas are actually pretty decent against Grimwatch, too.
Right.
If you can stop them from inspiring, they're pretty pillow-fisted, especially if you can kill Gristlewell right off the bat. Then they're struggling. And what else do I like? I like to face Thunderix because they got a couple of really squishy fighters that you can kill right away. I like to face Skaith. Actually, Skaith has a rough time fighting Rippa. Yeah, they do not like to fight 4 wound fighters, 3 of them at once. They like some softer targets because you know how hard it is for Skaith to score run down or run through against 4 wound fighters.
Yeah, it's tough.
They have to soften them up first.
Yeah.
And because none of those fighters in Skaith's Warband have more than 2 damage right away.
No, it's tricky. It's a tricky one to do for sure.
Yeah, and I love Skaith. I was playing him forever. Retired him now after LVO, but it was a rough matchup fighting against Rippas.
No kidding. Who do you hate seeing as Rippas? Where you're like, more often than not, this is going to be a loss or very hard.
I don't think there's anything. Other Rippas players, Rippas could go either way. If you, unfortunately, with aggro warbands, if your dice shit in bed, they shit in bed. You could lose a game just because you didn't hit anything.
Yeah.
It's not likely, especially with cards that we have and the amount of attacks Rippas throws out, you'll hit something. But I've definitely lost to Grimwatch just because, they managed to get a kill on a fighter and push someone out of their zone.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they're inspired, and Crack Marrow is just bonkers when he's inspired. So.
Yeah, it's bound to happen. How do you? This is a side question, but how do you think about Hrothgorn and Molag now with that? There's 2 cards. There's no fighter can reroll dice against this fighter, Terrifying Aura, and the other one is no ploy can damage this fighter.
Yeah, the no ploy can damage this fighter. It'll be annoying. I can only speculate how often that'll be used.
I feel like for Molag and Hrothgorn, it's going to be like a must. I mean, no ploy damaging you, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that is. I've actually been playing Hrothgorn on Vassal recently, and he can go down really quick.
He can.
Yeah, he can die real easy, even without ploys. Funny story. I was playing my buddy who lives in Budapest right now, who used to live here in Vancouver. And I gave him my Rippas deck to play against my Hrothgorn deck. And he just destroyed me twice. So
there you go. Okay.
I think for Rippa, honestly, Wormspat might be tougher to take out. Just because of their defense mechanics.
Yeah, super.
But against Hrothgorn, you have some great things that Rippa loves to see, like a couple of 2 wound fighters,
that's true.
A couple 3 wound fighters. You got a big guy that hopefully your opponent just charges in, and then you don't have to worry about him again for another turn. You just take attacks on him. And Hrothgorn, I'm going to play him. He's going to be tricky though. He's going to be hard to figure out. He's not as cut and dry as I thought he was.
No, I think he is going to be really challenging.
But as far as Rippas versus either of them, I don't think Rippa's going to have much of a problem.
So you're feeling good about Rippas. There's not much you're not going to be able to.
they're so good, man. If you just know, if you get the gut feeling of when to attack, when to draw a card, when to put what upgrade on who, they're so powerful. Really good.
Nice. So we kind of have sprinkled this in throughout, but like the changes that you would make to the deck now that the man trackers and the worm spatter coming out. Okay.
Well, basically the changes I made are, instead of encroaching shadow, we got collapse, because why not? You might hit 2 people. I doubt it's ever going to happen, but or if it does, it'll be very rare. I took the unexpected pitfall because I think it's pretty reliable to kill someone with lethal hex or ploys now. I took the adaptive strategy, or aggressive strategy, because I just want to try and see how easy it is to score 5 surge cards. I mean, I could foresee drawing that in your first hand, and you're like, oh crap. Yeah,
pitch.
But it would be the same result as having conquered land for me in most situations. So
yeah, that's a good point.
Might as well give it a shot. There's one that I would love if it was easier to make opponents quarries, and that's the one where you kill 3 fighters and one of them's a quarry. You score 2 glory. It's similar to one of Skaith's cards, which is where you just have 3 fighters out of action.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
Yeah, so, but currently there's not a reliable way without tooling for it to make enemies quarries.
Yeah.
I don't want to rely on someone equipping survival instincts, for example. Yeah, exactly. And then, for ploys, I took the second distraction. What's it called again? I can't remember what it's called.
It's like something in the shadows or something like that.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Distractions is going to be great. And I think that's all the changes I made.
Okay, so.
Yeah, not too much, but some things I want to try for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Talking about Beastgrave this season, how are you liking compared to Nightvault? And are there any things that you would, change or look forward to in the next season?
Everything's so fast. Everything moves 4 and 5 these days, it seems. No, I like where Beastgrave's going. Some things I want to see are Seraphon, just because they're awesome.
Yeah, they are dope. Definitely.
I'm kind of a little disappointed with Wormspat so far. I think they could have done more with them, given them a couple like easy to score surge cards.
Yeah, I think that they were probably
rushed, maybe.
No, I got the sense that probably they had like a knee jerk from Cursebreakers, because they made Cursebreakers a 3-member strong warband with a wizard, and then they're like, oh, okay, let's just dial back these surge cards a bit, and not, and now, maybe they were.
And then go ahead and make a bunch of universal cards that are great for Cursebreakers.
Yeah, like maybe they were a little heavy-handed with the Wormspat. They're like, we're not doing Cursebreakers again.
It's weird. A lot of their faction cards want to hold objectives and not be pushed off them.
I know.
Is that something that you're going to do? I look at those guys and I'm like, I want to get these guys rammed down my opponent's throat.
Yeah, like there is a funny deck where you can, go up and do some shenanigans. Well, I think that, your deck is super aggressive. It looks super fun to play. I think it's going to be a ton of fun to get on the channel here. So I really appreciate you taking the time to let us know your insights from LVO and thereafter. And yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'll be bringing Rippas to the Grand Clash / Grand Skirmish in Alberta coming up in April.
Oh, man, that's awesome. I wish you all the luck there.
Yeah, thanks.
Cheers. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please consider supporting the channel by liking this video or subscribing to the channel, and especially hitting that bell icon. Feel free to leave comments in the comments section below. I love talking with you guys. Until next video, I'll see you then. Thanks.